and I'm going to share my screen right now. Let me know everybody got it? Good?
Yep. Got it.
Good. All right. TEC params vote call. Welcome to it. All right. But before we get into this, I'm just going to read you a real great outcome of all of this is that we are potentially helping community members who may have never used GitHub or DAOs or CAD take part in token engineering. They will get to have a choice in their economy. The opening questioning to all of you is, when voting, everyone has their top issues. There is no difference here. What parameter in the hatch is going to be the most influential for your vote? I'll start with myself. Just because simply, I just want to make sure there's always enough people taking place. So support required minimum quorum. I want to make sure we actually do it. And I'll pass it to YGG.
Thanks, Jake. So is it a question? Can you repeat the question? Is it selecting is the most influential to my vote?
Yeah, so I wrote the question and thinking of like politics in general, like when you vote, everyone has their core issue, like, oh, I'm pro-life or pro-choice, or I'm, the economic decisions that the government makes are the most important, and I only support people that think this way.
So it could likely be like support required or minimum quorum. Those are so pivotal in the decision-making process. So someone would have the whole template of parameters in front of them at this point and have gone through them and played with them and seen the visualizations. And sweet. We should put some images. We should put some screenshots in here, Jake.
You're muted, Jake.
Oh, of your models. That's what you're talking about?
I think so, for context. Unless I've sorry, I didn't read the agenda notes for this. I'll let you keep going, Jake.
Okay. I'm gonna pass off to Griff. Griff, you pick your favorite one that would influence your vote.
Yeah, so just so you guys know, there's a list of all the different parameters that are in the hatch. It's the implementation spec, and there's short explanations of what they are. So I'm sure a lot of you guys don't know this, but the key parameter for me, I mean, YGG mentioned it, the minimum goal, which is pretty huge. But the one that I think wouldn't be mentioned that I want to put in are basically the impact hour math, especially there's like one variable that's poorly named called expected impact hour rate or something like that. I actually think it's really, really important, the shape of the impact hour curve, and that because I want to make sure that the people who are putting in the elbow grease here get rewarded fairly, and that the cultural tribute percent is also like not so high for the people. I feel like that's like the complicated space here, and I really that's the thing I'm going to be judging everybody's parameters on. Yeah, cultural build, tribute, and impact hours reward. So I'll pass it to, let's go with Livia.
I actually, I would actually pick impact hours too, because I think it validates the cultural build, and it's the most like community ownership type of parameter that it should be very valued, since we are having all of this work previously, like all this work to build the DAO before the hatch. And I'll pass to Juanca.
Thanks, Livy. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. Well, I would say impact hours as well, because I think it's like a very good application of distribution of wealth that we are doing, and that it should be continued and improved. And I'll pass to Septimus.
Thank you, Juan. For me, one important hatch parameter is the funding pool, because and how we are going to maintain that funding pool, because I mean the whole thing is working on that. So if we don't have funds in there, yeah, that's not good. So I think we have really to think carefully on how we fund it and how we keep it going.
Who do you want to pass it to, Zeb?
Oh yeah, sorry. I'll pass it to YGG.
Thanks, Zep. I'm back in the game now. I got the resource open in front of me. I'm also sharing my screen, so I'll try to follow along that the ones that people are going over. So I found a really interesting one when I was putting together the parameter dashboard and playing with these, something that I didn't think about too much before. In fact, I had written the blog, the forum post on it, and I thought it was quite simple. But as I got to move it around, it got me thinking more. And it was the tollgate fee. It's a pretty interesting dynamic. I mean, what if we made it, because I'd say it plays with the support required and minimum quorum, because remember, minimum quorum is the percentage of all votes that have to say yes, and support required is percentage of the voting tokens that have to say yes, not all the tokens. But the tollgate fee is how expensive it is to actually put a vote forward, to put a proposal forward. And so we could turn this right up to 100 WX die, and that would be a really interesting case. Maybe even hatchers would have to like pool money to contribute. Like we might have to pool resources to get to a very sophisticated proposal that the whole community wants to move forward with. And then it's interesting to think, where does this tollgate fee go, right? I think it goes into the reserve. But that's something we always have to go back and check the specification about. So it's really interesting.
It goes to the non-redeemable pool. So
yeah,
it's like effectively a donation to the TE Commons.
Yeah, right. So I think it would be cool. So this one in the models that I put together is just a simple widget. It doesn't really change anything, but it would be interesting. The CAD modeling could come next and model some interactions between, say, tollgate fee and support required minimum quorum and like sentiment member, hatcher sentiment. So I picked this one. Okay, so I'm gonna pass it over to, let's see. I forget your name, Kinshasa. Did you go yet?
I did not yet. Yeah, I'm Garrett. I go by
Garrett,
Kinshasa
right.
for whatever reason. Yeah,
I go by YGG for whatever reason.
Great. You know, what would impact my... What do I think is the most important? I guess the period? I'm not sure. I guess I'm more of a fly on the wall today. I have no idea what I would weight more than another. I guess I like this tollgate idea in that you've got a threshold to get serious proposals out there. So it's not just anything. But yeah, so I guess put me down for that. Sorry, I don't have as much intelligent commentary to add, but this is cool.
Well, the hatch period is a really interesting one. That's how long the hatch is open to collect funds. Super interesting.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Okay. And again, yeah, that test hatch implementation specification is up, and it's right there in the forum. It's really a great piece, and it's all right there for you to understand. As we move on to our agenda, as we go over each thing, when we're done, we'll give everybody 2 to 5 minutes in a round robin if you have questions or comments. So let's get to it. How to propose for hatch parameters. Well, first of all, everyone needs to understand your impact hour tokens and where you can find them. Your impact hour tokens, or IHT, are on the XDAI chain, of course. So when you open up your wallet, you're going to want to make sure you're on the XDAI chain. And you should already have them because I've been distributing them. They have to do exactly with your impact hours. So whatever you have for impact hours, you will have in direct correlation impact hour tokens. They are also, when we get to Tokenlog, they are matched 50-50 with quadratic voting. Now with that, I'm going to pass it to Griff, and he can explain to you a little bit more about what we're doing there. Or not.
Sure.
I can keep going.
No, I
You want me to keep going?
I was just doing my hair, so you know.
Yeah,
yeah.
I noticed that. That's just lovely. Thanks for joining the party, bud.
Come on, you got to look good. Anyway, so Tokenlog, I'm very excited about Tokenlog. And the idea here is that we will be able to create an issue that represents your own proposal for parameters. A lot of it is based off of YGG's work. In fact, maybe before I go into Tokenlog, it might make more sense to let YGG talk about how to use the CAD models, and then I think Tokenlog might make more sense.
Yeah, it would. Everybody, yeah, you need to know how to use the model. Yep, it does. Oh, you're on, Sean.
Okay. So, like, this can be simplified, but you can find how to do it here. So we go to GitHub/TE Commons. Right now, we look at the lab. So I'm just gonna go TE Commons.
Hey, YGG,
yeah.
You're sharing like both screens. Is it possible to reshare? It's hard
to read.
I think
it's hard to do that in Discord, but the easiest way is I'm just gonna unplug my other monitor.
Sorry. Oh yeah, that works.
Okay, sweet.
Wow, well done.
Oh yeah, I know all the tricks. I had so many technical issues this morning. It's crazy. My computer wouldn't boot. My keyboard wasn't working. My phone couldn't log into Gmail. It was a weird morning. Just one of those days, you know. Okay, so here we have the tech labs, the TEC labs. So you can find this pinned. It should be pinned in the TEC labs channel. Also available from the Notion workspace for the labs. That's pinned in the channel there. And so these are the instructions to run. So this works on a Linux terminal or on a Mac or in sort of a Linux environment, or you can use the Windows GitHub client. And there's a demo of how to do this, a recorded session from the very first lab that's posted in the lab YouTube playlist. So you can find that. Everything I'll mention is connected. So usually if you follow the link at the top, it'll take you to like a forum post, or it might take you to a Notion workspace, and you can always find your way to the YouTube playlist to see all the labs. So these are the instructions. Now, I'm just going to run this locally. I'm not going to expect everyone to do it right now. What needs to be done is this README needs to be moved over to the dedicated repository that we've made, which is called Tokenlog hatch params. So I'm just going to make a new issue now that says migrate a good README file from the TEC labs repository for instructions to run.
And there will be a good way to do this through the UI as well, right? Like without having to run terminal commands.
Yeah, well, what we want to do is we want to launch this as a web app is the best way to do it. I'll show you how we can do that in a moment. Good. So I'll make that issue. Now, when I go in here, so I'm doing the handoff on Friday in the labs. So I wasn't. I'm a little on the spot here, but that's fine. So I just activate my virtual environment to get all my Python things. This might seem intimidating, but it ends up being pretty simple. And then I open up Jupyter Lab. So all you got to do is get to this place. So it's just git cloning and then lab to run it as a lab. But we can skip all of this if it's deployed as a web app.
That's amazing. YGG, I forgot you said that. We're just going to make a website where people can do this. That's genius.
Yeah, I'll need a little bit of help deploying that, but it's not so hard. I can actually use this program called ngrok, where like if we just needed it up, even for like an hour, I can just run it on my computer here and use a program called ngrok to make it a public domain.
We'll get help for you. We'll get help to do that. No problem.
Nice. Okay, so I run this. So, all you have to do in Python is install. I've actually taken all the code and put it in this tech.py. So this is pretty cool. This is all modularized. These are classes. So we've got dandelion voting at the hatch, impact hours formula, and the impact hours data. And so these have functions for loading data and visualizing it and processing it. And shout out to Sam and Griff for the beautiful formula for the impact hours. But this is still a prototype. This will probably evolve a lot over time, but we just simply import it here. So in Python, you just have your dependencies installed, which you'll see in the README is like the pip install step, or on Windows you use conda. But I'm in my virtual environment, so I have everything installed. This can even be put on a Google Colab too. We can just run this on a Google Colab. So there's these are the visualizations. I'll just show you them all at first. And when you go through them slowly, it makes sense. So this is actually our accumulated impact hours. So you can play with these widgets. So you say, this is the historical data up to January 15th. And the blue line is the projected future of impact hours based on our past trajectory. And this is based on the modeling that Griff did in Excel, is quite nice. And then this is like an optimistic pace of impact hours. If it grows linearly, we'd rather have them grow linearly than take off exponentially. But you can kind of anticipate how many impact hours you think will end up, or the general project will end up having in the end. This is the impact hours reward formula. It needs to be refactored a bit, but there's a few key concepts here that actually go into the protocol, and it's these two. It's this one that we're playing around with. It was called expected impact hour raise rate, something like that. I just put for now raise horizon because it's Griff said just call it shape of the curve. It's the shape of the curve parameter, and that makes sense because it really is the shape of the curve. But I thought like raise, it's how much we raise, how much we anticipate raising, and the more it's like how strict are we on ourselves? It's how slow the impact hour rate grows. It's the slowness.
It's a beautiful name.
Yeah, so it's like how much we're shooting for with our raise. And then the maximum impact hour rate, this is a max threshold. So it's like, say we raised tens of millions of DAI, then we don't really need to be paid like 1,000 DAI per hour for our impact hours. We say like, no matter how much we raise, we'd have hard cap on our impact hours. So this is the test hatch. So these numbers are all for matching the test hatch. So our maximum impact hour rate goes from like 0.01 to 10. And then, these target raise, maximum raise, these can even be refactored out. There's a little bit of complexities here that don't necessarily need to be here. We could probably slim down a couple of these widgets, which would be nice in the end. But we get some modeling of the funding pool and cultural tribute. We get the target impact hour rate and expected impact rate, but we're simplifying this down. It's just going to be target. All this expected stuff is going to be out the window. It's just going to be the actual model itself plus a target. And then we get, based on the parameters, the expected payout given the impact hours. So this is like the super juicy part. Everyone can scroll down here and see your name. And based on the parameters and projected raise, how much everyone's going to get paid. And I'm going through this quite fast now. If you want to really get caught up and see it in slow detail, there's a lot more detail in the lab session that was recorded this past Friday. Should I keep going?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
please.
does anybody have any quick questions or comments? Otherwise, just go.
Does everyone see your name? Okay, so that's a fun one. This can be deployed as a web app, pretty simple. Okay, so this is the actual hatch. This is kind of cool. we have the total C-stack tokens, and this is based on data. This is a real number, but this data was sampled, maybe a month ago or so. Hatch Oracle ratio. This is for every C-stack token that you hold. This is how much XDAI you're allowed to invest into the hatch. So if you have one XDAI, you set it at 1, then you can, you have one C-stack token, you set this to 1, then you can invest 1 wrapped XDAI. Now, if you set this to 1, it says, okay, here's the top 100 C-stack token holders. It's basically the distribution of C-stack token holders. This is like a ranking. So index 0 is the person with the most C-stack tokens. So I use the example, I'm pretty sure it's Griff Green. I haven't double checked this in the data, but Griff is either 1 or 2, but he's up there. And this is actually capped. So there's I implemented here what is to be happening in the protocol, which is C-stack token distribution gets capped at 10% per individual. So there's 2 people that have more than 10% of all the C-stack tokens. So they get capped at 10%, and the whole distribution just gets kind of renormalized. So everyone gets a slightly larger amount, which is pretty cool. So this is given that 10% cap. This is the distribution. So you can see there's 20, very active C-stack token holders, 40 active, this is the top 100. So it's pretty interesting. Now, what are these different colors on the graph? So first of all, blue is our target raise. So this is the amount that each C-stack token holder would have to invest out of their max capacity. If every C-stack token holder invested as much as possible, then that would be a target raise of 1. And that means that in this case, there would be a total of 711,000 XDAI staked. The average C-stack holder would have invested 2,780 XDAI. There would be 35,000 XDAI in the hatch tribute. Is that the non-redeemable? That's the non-redeemable reserve, I believe. And then we have the redeemable reserve, which is...
I think it's the other way around.
Oh, yeah.
35,000 is the redeemable reserve, and the non-redeemable is the 600.
Yeah. So I'll make another GitHub issue to match. I want to match all these to the specification so that it's so clear. Or see how to implement this other thing that comes with this panel library, which is doc strings. That could be so useful, but I haven't been able to get them to render yet. There's got to be some way. And so we have the cap raise, the target raise, the max goal, the min goal. So this is how much will be raised, the threshold raise to allow the protocol to go forward with the hatch. And if the min goal is not met, everything is the hatch tribute non-redeemable in the case that we don't meet the min goal?
If we meet the min goal, then it's all redeemable. Then then it's all sent back. Well, it's all of the money is claimed back. There is no hatch tribute until we hit the min goal.
Oh, here's the hatch tribute.
So if we hit the min goal, then the hatch tribute applies. But if we are less than the min goal, then everyone who puts money into the hatch gets their money back and the project doesn't start.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's what I thought. That makes a lot of sense.
So graph is still correct because the min goal, if it hits it, then the hatch tribute applies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The main thing, and this is really also for Zeptimus, the main thing to think about here is that the funding pool is not necessarily the hatch tribute here. So the funding pool amount will be decided on the commons upgrade. And the hatch tribute kind of just it's more like a forced donation to everyone who contributes to the hatch to the commons upgrade. And the real thing here with the hatch tribute is that whatever goes to the hatch tribute is not redeemable by people with TEC tokens. if they don't like.
Oh yeah, that's right.
If people don't like the economy that's chosen in the Commons upgrade for the bonding curve and conviction voting, then they can actually turn in their TEC tokens, their TEC hatch tokens, and get back the money that's in the redeemable pool. But there will be this other pool where the toll gate fee goes and where the hatch tribute goes that they cannot redeem from.
It's like your ante when you're playing poker, you know? Even if you fold, you got to put up the ante.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
Thank you for clarifying, Griff. That's awesome.
Yeah, and ante is a great name for it. Maybe we should change it from hatch tribute to ante. That's a really good name.
Something to think about.
I would really
Definitely,
like
yeah, ante. That's interesting. Definitely can be used as a metaphor, like in a paper or something. It would be a perfect analogy. And the funding pool certainly needs to be renamed. This is kind of what Griff was saying. This isn't the funding pool. This is a redeemable reserve that is moving towards the phase 2 of the hatch. Yeah, so these numbers here are actually, this is the scale that each C-Stack token holder would invest. So the max capacity with these parameters that Griff Green could invest into this hatch would be just over 80,000 wrapped XDAI. And a lot of people could invest up to 20,000 wrapped XDAI. So I use this geometric mean here because this is it's actually called a power distribution because it grows by powers, like exponentially. And so to find sort of the middle point, we take the geometric mean. It works out nicely. And so what this says is your average co-vestor, C-Stack holder, for these results to raise this much, 700,000 XDAI staked, 35,000 non-redeemable moving forward to phase 2 of the hatch. Your average co-investor would put in 2,783 wrapped XDAI, but this is a geometric distribution, so we would expect some people to put in around 10 times this amount, so 27,000, and some people quite a few people to put in 1/10 of this amount, so about 270 to get these results and make around 22 billion tech tokens. But you can play with that parameter. That's the exchange rate. This is the fun one because it actually doesn't change the math at all. It's all normalized away always. It only changes what the number on the screen will be when people are buying and selling these and evaluating the tokens. So it'll be interesting to see what community members, what hatch members pick for this parameter. And finally, this is my favorite one. This is the dandelion voting. So given what you select here for your parameters, it'll determine the total number of tokens. Oops. Let me see. Okay, so support required 60%. Yeah, definitely these widgets need matching documentation. So either we should expect people to sort of have the tech spec open side by side, or we got to embed. If we turn this into a web app, we can make a lot of beautiful documentation, actually. So
yeah, those little tooltips or like the little eye that you can click.
Oh yeah, I'll look into that.
I think it's fine for the web app, and you can keep the CAD model simple.
Nice. So this is I kind of want to bring this up. This is a conversation Griff and I had. He said, is this CAD modeling? And at first my thought was, well, no, we're not using CAD lib. And then I thought, well, yeah, it is, because Zargum talks about CAD as a lot more than just the Python library. It's more of a process, a methodology, and a language. And I think the fundamentals of CAD is the process of token engineering or modeling dynamic systems in general, which is, well, in the context of token engineering, it's requirements gathering, and then mathematical specifications, and then systems modeling and analysis. And I think that's the process that the TEC followed with this. All of the forum posts that were so fleshed out. Yeah, I think that was sort of a requirements gathering. And then there was a lot of math done actually in those forum posts, of course, like all the math that's been done on dandelion voting in the past. And this novel formula here for calculating impact hours, really elegant, based on the maximum that we think we should pay, and this sort of raise horizon. So to finish this off, support required, this is the percentage of, so let's say total tokens are like 100 million vote, then this would say at the threshold of this line, see, we could make this a bit nicer interactively. There's lots of issues that could be posted on the GitHub repo, but this line will give us the number of those token holders that need to vote yes for it to pass. So this boundary is the boundary between votes passing and proposals passing and proposals not passing. And you could actually play this through time, which is something it would be an awesome spin-off of this project. You could have a sort of data stream, or you could click through you could just have a sequential stream. So it's like every 10 milliseconds, another data point comes in, but you could simulate a vote process where we'd be moving to the right as more people use their tokens to vote, and we'd be moving up as more people vote yes instead of no. So you could watch the progression of this vote play out over time, and the vote could actually pass between passing and not passing and passing and not passing. And how the amount of time that it could do that for is dependent on these other parameters here. Vote duration, this is the key. Oh no, vote buffer hours, rage quit hours. So let me ask Griff, would a vote pass as soon as it passes into a passing threshold? Oh, I haven't explained this minimum quorum. This is the minimum number of people that need to show up to vote, that need to vote yes, actually, out of all tokens for a proposal to be passable. So if we put this at 10%, then at least 10% of all tokens must vote yes. And so it's the combined blue and red space are blockers, and anything in green is a passed proposal.
And on your previous question, first off, I think this is one of the coolest things that the Token Engineering Commons has come up with so far, is this visual representation of what it takes for a vote to pass. And it would be super cool to see a line where people are voting, and you can see if it's in the green area or in the blue area, and where the vote is in that moment. I think this graph will be used by a lot of DAOs in the future, in my opinion. And it's amazing that they're not already using it. Anyway, in dandelion voting, every vote goes until the very end of the vote duration.
So this is a key parameter.
Yeah. So no matter what, the vote will go all the way to the end. In disputable voting and other voting, like when we do the Commons upgrade, we may not use dandelion voting for the Commons upgrade. We might use disputable voting. And in that case, the vote will pass once support required cannot be violated and the quorum has been represented. So like if let's say support required is 88%, and 88% of all token holders vote yes, well then no matter what, the support required will be met, so the vote would pass in that moment. But that's not the case for dandelion voting.
Nice. And then it's important to point out, so keep that in mind, votes will last for the full duration, and multiple votes can be ran simultaneously, but there's a buffer. You can't just make two different proposals at one time. And if you make a proposal, someone can't make one an hour later. And that's what this vote buffer hours is. So it's the time between launching proposals. So it defaults to 8 hours between proposal launches. So it creates a maximum number of proposals that could actually go through.
Does anybody have questions?
Rage quit hours? No one's going to ask about rage quit hours. I guess it speaks for itself. But it's this idea that if the vote's passing, because this is a big deal, this is the TEC moving from phase 1, phase 2, deciding on parameters of launching the bonding curve and conviction voting. And if a hatcher sees that a proposal has gone through, it's moving forward, it's been voted yes, and it's passed, then they have this many of hours to redeem their initial redeemable hatch investment, co-vestment, or whatever we're calling it, tribute. Yeah, I forget what the legal term is. But this is the rage quit hours to get the redeemable amount of that back if someone's not happy with a proposal that's going forward.
Okay, cool. Can we get into Tokenlog?
Yes.
All right. I'm actually having some bandwidth problems, so I can't share my screen. So if one of you, if Griff or YGG, if you take over and hurry up and show them what Tokenlog and the repo we're gonna have the issues go to and how they're gonna do this. And now this is where you can vote with your impact hour tokens.
Okay, cool.
So, I'll just run so that we can get through this. Basically, we'll have this. The way that we're going to choose the hatch parameters is that people will use the website that YGG is going to create to choose their parameters. Then we'll find a way so that they can say, these are my parameters. Maybe there'll be a link that sets the defaults to that website or something like that. And they'll make an issue in this repo that YGG is showing. And when they make that issue, in that issue, they'll need to describe what they were thinking. You know, like, did they fork from someone else? Did they take someone else's idea and change one little thing because they like it this way? Or did they, you know, they should give an explanation in the GitHub issue. And then in this GitHub issue, once they create the GitHub issue, Tokenlog will actually allow people who have impact hour tokens and people who have CStack tokens to vote on quadratically on which set of parameters they like the most. So we will set a day. We will set a date where something happened, where the top voting. This is the proposal. We set a date where the top voted proposal for a set of parameters, according to impact hours and CStack token holders, will be the chosen parameters on when we deploy. So Tokenlog, I don't know, YGG, if you're able to go to tokenlog.xyz.
Sure.
And just show the. So there is a TE version.
Should I connect?
Ooh. Sure, you can connect.
Okay. I'm not sure which network I'm on.
I don't think it matters. That's the nice thing.
Okay.
Oh, actually, it does matter. If you're on XDAI, then you get a prettier set of numbers, but it doesn't matter for voting. And as you can see on this, there's lots of people who are using Tokenlog. It's super cool. You can scroll down and you can vote. Use Tokenlog to vote on EIPs. But the one that we care most about is the TE Commons. Although Common Stack is great too. Yeah, click that one. And here you can you actually have so because he's not on XDAI, you get these NANVP like under the CStack token in the right corner. But you don't even need that because we're not sending any transactions when you vote. But you could imagine, like right now, we're testing Tokenlog with prioritizing issues that are in the coordination repo. So the TEC community stewards are actually, deciding which issues to prioritize each sprint. And now you can actually vote with your IHT and your CStack which issues are the most important. But when we're choosing the hatch parameters, each one of these issues will represent somebody's choice of parameters. They went to the website, they like tweaked the graphs and saw what they could do, and now, you must not have any. This must not be your CStack address. So you're
Yeah,
not gonna be able to
I got it. It's on my laptop. I bricked my laptop because I was recording OBS and it filled my hard drive, and I can't boot into my laptop when the hard drive's full. I've got to boot into the bootloader and mount a drive
no.
and unload some of that disk, and then it should be fine. This has happened a few
That's
times
okay.
before.
It's okay. So yeah, but it's really cool. The UX will be simple. You'll just see a list of GitHub issues, which will represent people's parameters, and then you'll click, and depending on how much tokens you have, you'll have more voting power to use, and then you'll choose your parameters, the ones that you vote for. You can vote for multiple sets, and the voting happens quadratically. So each voting power point that you have, if you want to give 1 point
look at
to one issue, oh yeah. If you want to give 1 point to one issue, that's fine. If you want to give 2 voting power points to an issue, it's going to cost 4 voting power for you to do that. And if you want to give 5 voting power points, then it'll take 25, and the quadratic thing applies. So yeah. Any questions about Tokenlog? I didn't do the best at explaining it, but
We're going to have another call next week at this time just about Tokenlog too. So don't worry too much if, we're going to come back to it. The other thing to remember here is after you've done this, you've seen the models, you've come to Tokenlog, you have proposed your parameters, you're going to vote on them. Then we have a set thread at the forum that you're going to go post on about why you chose your parameters and what you chose and why you chose them. So we have a consistent line of transparency, and then we have a full thread on why people are doing what they want.
yeah. So it'll be super cool, and the real goal is to make it so that everyone, whether you're a dev or not, can actually propose and improve on the other proposed parameters for the hatch. And I believe this will be the most community-driven technical deployment that has ever existed in the DAO space. We're hoping to use this strategy to fight the technocratic leaning that we end up with when building blockchain-based economies, because the devs are the ones that understand everything. So there's a lot of effort here to make sure that the community can understand what these parameters mean and how they'll have an impact when they're chosen, and to really engage non-developers and empower them to have a say in the economies that are deployed. So Jake, do you want to? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it. Sundays we have work sessions, and like I said, next Wednesday we're going to do this all again, and it'll be just about Tokenlog. And feel free to always reach out to me, whether Discord or Telegram, if you have any questions or want further information. Otherwise, we're going to keep at it, and please come to YGG's Tech Labs on Friday, where he goes over all of this way far more in depth, and then actually has full-on lessons on how to do this and what it does. This is huge for token engineering in general. This is exactly what the Commons is trying to do. So we're advancing the field with both of these. Oh, and also to advise, this Tokenlog and Tech Labs are both proposals within the TEC. So we're not only, we're creating this as we go, and we're looking to support this in the process. This is truly the TEC right here in work. And you get to be a part of it. And we're going to make it as easy as we can so everybody can understand it. That's the biggest point too. All right. Thank you for our TED Talk. We have 10 minutes. If you have any more questions or just want to talk, go ahead.
Let's do a quick round. We'll give everyone, put everyone on the spot and make them say it. I'll just say thank you. I got to talk a lot. So, and I'll pass it to Kinshasa.
Yeah, so just being super new to this, the fact that you guys are creating a mechanism for non-technical people to get involved and have a voice is just sick. So trying to keep up, but I'm very inspired by this. So thank you for all you guys are doing for the space.
What do you want?
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, Juan. Thanks.
I think that this is amazing, and that is this modeling is so important for providing information to all the community, and that information can make us take better decisions as a whole. So I think that this is amazing to manage the expected benefits and the expected costs of our decisions. So I think it's amazing.
Thanks. All right. Hey, Livia, what do you think? Oh, she's gone. Hey, Craig.
Hey. I think it looks horrible and it sucks. No, I'm only kidding. Somebody needed a kick in the gut instead of a pat on the back. But I think, yeah, I'm thrilled with this. I mentioned to Sean before, this is kind of my background in regular work, and I'm not so happy that I can't actually dig in more, but it's brilliant. I love it. Keep it going, and I'm going to tune in as much as I can. Who, Zeptimus, have you gone?
No, thank you, Craig. I think the job here is amazing, and I want to thank YGG for all this modeling, and it's very easy to see the graphics and how they interact. That's very awesome. And yeah, I think this is lovely. Like, we are building it as a community, and what Griff was saying, like, it's the first project doing that, and I think that's so cool. That's awesome. And I'll pass it to, who hasn't gone yet? Maybe Billy?
Yes, Beely.
Peely, are you there? Nope.
We can't really hear you, man. Like, it's like barely audible.
I don't hear anything at all.
I thought I heard something.
Sorry, Peely. Maybe YGG can go and you can see if you can fix your mic and say what you have to say. YGG?
Yeah, I just want to say that sometimes this stuff can be kind of overwhelming. Like, it's too much, too many things happening at once. But I think the key is always to have fun with it and treat it like a game. Like, Ethereum really is the greatest MMORPG ever made. So, you know, it's awesome. Kudos to the whole team for coming out and doing this crazy cool stuff. Like look at this domain name, tokenlog.xyz/tecommons/techlab. This is the coolest thing ever. So I just want to thank everyone, the community, for putting out this good stuff. And we all have different strengths and weaknesses. Like, I'm always losing my my crypto keys. That's my weakness. So we all help each other out so much. So I just want to say thanks to everyone.
Hey, Livia jumped in. She tried to sneak out and she came back in. She didn't think we'd see her leave, but now she's back. Livia, the last question was to, what do you think of all this?
I think the panda behind YGG is amazing watching us here.
He's the data scientist.
Thanks, guys. All what I've heard was amazing.
Pretty rad. What is the? So this is not CAD-CAD?
This is using the CAD-CAD methodology, but not the CAD-CAD library. This is just modeling equations, essentially. This stuff is all. This is like static, not static modeling, because we have like dynamic equations here, but yeah, CAD-CAD essentially plays out scenarios over time. It's a simulator, so it's really good for like injecting randomness and probability distributions, or like policies of agents. So there's no agent policies here.
Gotcha.
So you would get that from the CAD-CAD library.
Okay.
Hey, Speely, can you try again?
Hey, testing. This better? Working? No?
Oh yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, I basically dropped in probably somewhere in the mid of whatever was going on, and I've been following, and I think I saw the hatching model before and the Malakhtau type stuff before, so that's interesting. But what I usually lack in these things is because I'm doing decentralized finance stuff myself is between the actual like funding part and the actual execution of proposals and stuff hatching and everything. Why isn't the funds being allocated within a yield aggregation system so it actually generates more income while stuff is being hatched? Is basically my question.
Well, this is the first part of what we're doing, and we will be implementing a bonding curve in the second part. So in the initial part of what we call the hatch, we don't technically need to then send away to yield on top because farming isn't exactly what we're trying to do here. Our bonding curve will allow us to implement a compounded yield on top of that. And we'll be able to generate more with what we're doing in that initial second part of the commons.
Okay. Good.
I think it's interesting to think about, though. It could be like a Lego block that gets stacked on top of this this model, this hatch model, because you might be able to pinpoint and say, oh yeah, this hatch tribute sitting there for 30 days or 90 days on average. What if we apply a yield? But that's interesting, something to work on.
Super awesome.
A proposal.
But we would have to then also what liquidity pools would we actually utilize? Because we're not going to create that ourselves with TEC tokens.
There's simple stuff like if you're just asking for ETH as getting funds, there's this thing called Alpha Homora, which just you can just single-sidedly have interesting bearing ETH. Or just an Aave, you can just deposit ETH and you're getting interest on ETH. If you're stable coins, obviously you have You're Not Finance. There's a bunch of decentralized finance possibilities these days, which are pretty much.
Well, certainly it's a very interesting idea.
We should contact Aave.
10% yield yearly. That's almost 1%, and on a 30-day hatch, you're missing out on. That's 1% you can donate or put to the project or whatever's going on. It's like you're missing out on gains, in my opinion.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah. I'll try to.
Okay, guys, we only got 2 minutes left.
Okay.
Is there anything anybody else wants to say before I just cut this short? Because we're,
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Jake.
I'm excited for this piece. This is coming next. Yeah, thank you. You're welcome.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks.